Welcome back to Man the Helm. Today we're going to talk all things major scale and kind of breaking the mystery of the fretboard, so to speak. Maybe not that much, but we'll see what we can do. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Jake. And like I said in the beginning, we're going to take the major scale, something you've probably seen. Maybe have you kind of written it off as I don't need to know that or anything like that. And we're going to dive a little bit deep, kind of breaking a little past the tip of the iceberg, and we're going to get into it. Everything from understanding the scale itself, making chords out of it, arpeggios, all this good stuff. So let's get into it. For this, we will be out of D major. We're going to focus on D major the whole time. I think it's important to break this into bite-sized chunks as best as possible before we kind of get into trying to memorize every single note on the fretboard. Let's take a look at this. And if we look at D major has 7 notes that we have to be able to find. Now, 7 notes are going to be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and back to our root of D. What I recommend when I first teach the major scale is I teach it on every string. Make sure we understand the notes we're playing and make sure that we understand the intervals between those notes. So if we take a look at just the low E string, first and foremost, if you don't know where the note D is at, throw a headstock tuner on. If you got a tuner pedal, awesome. You got a tuner on your phone, find out where that D note is at. You'll find out that it's on the 10th fret of our low E string. So that's our root note, home bass. If we go up a whole step, meaning 2 frets, to E, that'll be our next note. We'll go up another whole step, F sharp, another whole step to G, half step this time up to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, and half step up to our root once again of D. So whole thing all together, we've got root, whole step up to our second note of E, whole step up to F sharp, half step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, and half step back to our root. We do that same thing again, but this time we're going to be on the A string. So we need to find out once again where that note D is on our A string. Got it right here. That same pattern is going to continue. So we'll have root, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Also think about the notes that you're utilizing. So D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Do the same thing on the D string now. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but the really important thing, intervals and the notes that we're using. Using that on that D string, we have D as our open string. Root note, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step back to the root. Do the next one on G. B. And last E. So once you have all those down, you should have a really good idea of what the intervals are between each note, and you should also have a good idea of what notes you're actually playing. Now, we don't ever play on one string, or if we do, in scale shapes, it's pretty seldom. Most of the time you see like 3-note per string shapes, you'll see maybe like a pentatonic shape or something like that. Like you're going across multiple strings whenever you do this. So let's talk about how we can kind of get this down. Let's start on that 10th fret of our low E string once again. And if we play the first 3 notes, kind of get used to playing with your pointer finger, your ring finger, and your pinky. So we're going to hit D on the 10th fret, E on the 12th fret with our ring finger, and then hit that F sharp with our pinky on the 14th fret. So same intervals once again, root, whole, whole. And remember from when we were learning those intervals on single strings, we have to go up a half step to hit that G. Well, let's shift down to the A string, find out where a G is at. Once again, if you need a tuner, you need something to kind of help you navigate that, throw one on your headstock, use a pedal, use your phone, whatever you got. But you'll find out that there is that G right here on the 10th fret of your A string. And now the really awesome thing is you're going to go up a whole step and then another whole step. So the pattern on your E and A string are exactly the same. And you've already done 6 of the 7 notes that we have to find. Next note that we have to find, that's C sharp right here. So if we were to play it on the A string, whole step, or we could play it on the 11th fret of our D string, and then a half step back to our root. So whole thing all together. Now I'm back at my root, so if I wanted to continue this, I could take that same pattern of the intervals Well, now I just covered from the 10th all the way to the 22nd with just using the same 7 notes. So this is how powerful the major scale is. You can start to come up with these lines if you're trying to improv or something like that, where you're literally just using octaves of the same notes that you have already played on lower strings and just moving up the fretboard. Now there are multiple different places you can play the D major scale. I mean, if we wanted to go from the open D string, or we could maybe play from our A string, or we could maybe play at a different variation from the A string. Play from the B string. Anywhere you can find that root note, in this case D, use the intervals, you can start to find interesting ways and different lines to play off of. And it's a really useful tool. Instead of like getting like one of those like, here's every note on the fretboard, we're just learning 7. We're trying to figure out where these 7 notes are at, and then we're finding every place we can possibly play them at. So now that we know how to play the scale, how do we actually use this in a practical setting? Well, we can make chords off of the major scale. And let's talk about the actual notes, and if we were to play like maybe like normal chords that you know how to play, like a D major, how are we going to navigate this across those 7 notes that we have to do? So I'm going to refer to these in a number system. I'm sure you've probably heard of the Nashville number system. If you haven't, pretty much we assign a number to the note in the scale, and that's what we're going to be referring it to as. So my 1 in this case would be a D major. Now the second and third note of the scale are always going to be minor. So that E and that F sharp, you're going to have E minor and F sharp minor. So we'd be able to go from D, E minor, F sharp minor. Your 4th and 5th note of the scale are always going to be major. So we have G major and A major. Your 6th note is always going to be minor. In this case, it'll be B minor. The 7th note is what always throws people for a loop. That is going to be your diminished note. And then back to our root note of D. So everything all together in those voicings that you've probably played before, we have D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, and back to D major. Now we can take these same voicings and make something that's called a triad. Now all a triad is 3 notes that make up a chord. For a major chord, you have to have the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, and the fifth note of the scale. So in this case, if I wanted to make a D major chord, I would have to have D, F sharp, and A. So let's look at a chord that we already know how to play, like let's say a D major chord. And let's just play the strings that we're fretting. And let's look at what actual notes we're playing there. So this first note right here, we have A, that's our fifth. This note right here is D, that's our root. And this note right here, F sharp, that's our third. So right off the rip, we already know how to play a D major triad. If I wanted to play this up the scale, remember how we did this on one string? Let's take that one that we learned on the B string. So if I can look at the shape where this D is at, my ring finger right here is kind of my home base. It's going to be where I'm guiding everything from. So I could play that D major. I know my ring finger right here needs to go up a whole step based on the intervals of the major scale. So I'm just going to move that whole shape up a whole step. The only difference is this time I've got to make that E minor. This right now is a major voicing. The way that I'm going to make that minor is I'm going to take that third note, wherever that is in this shape right here, and I need to flat it down a third. But we remember from this D, I have my fifth, root, and third. So this note right here, when I'm up, needs to be flatted down a half step. So I'm taking it from right here to here. So fourth fret to third fret. So I'd be fretting fourth fret on G, fifth fret on B, and third fret on my high E. It's exactly the same as if you were to play a D minor chord. We're just moving it up a whole step. The next note that we have is F sharp. Once again, is going to be minor, and we're going to move that up, this shape that we have right here for this E, just up a whole step. So first three notes we got D major, E minor, and F sharp minor. Once again, this is our home base right here. So if we want to keep following the scale, I need to move this F sharp up a half step. Give it that minor voice, kind of like that D chord shape. That would be my G major, whole step, A major. I need to move up a whole step now, but this time I need to make it minor again. So once again, I'm flatting the third of this, which I have fifth, root, third. So I'm taking that one on the 11th fret and moving it down on the 10th fret on my high E. So there's my major voicing. There's that B minor right there. The last note of the scale, I'm going to move up a whole step. Now this diminished chord, not only are you flatting the third, but you're also flatting the fifth. So I take that same D major shape that I already had. I'm going to flat my fifth, which will be on the 12th fret right here. I'm still going to play that root note of C sharp, and I'm going to flat that third. So it's going to look like, so 12, 14, 12. And I'm going to move up a whole step back to my root. So everything all together, if we were to play that like D-shaped triad, remember, root, always major. In this case, it would be D. Your second and third are always minor. Your fourth and fifth are always major. Your sixth is always minor. And your seventh is always diminished in a major scale context. Now, there's different ways that we can play these triads, too. We don't have to play them in that particular order. Like, we could maybe play, like, a C-shape arpeggio. Let's find out, like, if we played a C like we're used to, and just play these first three notes. Third fret on our A string, second fret on D, and an open G. If we move that same shape just up a whole step, so this is our root now, D. Well, now we have a D major triad, and this way I have my root, my third, and my fifth. So D, F sharp, and A. Now this is my home bass. If I want to try to treat this like that single note or single string scale, that's the pattern my ring finger is going to follow. Point of all of this is that you don't have to play these triad shapes in like the order that you see. I need my root up top, I need my third right below it, and I need my fifth right below it. As long as you have those three notes, for instance, if we were to play a D major chord, I need to have the note D, the note F sharp, and the note A somewhere that I'm fretting. So let's say I wanted to have that A as the lowest note in this triad, right? Well, I know that I have the note D right here on the 7th fret of my D string or G string. And then I also have an F sharp right here on the 4th fret of my D string. There we go. We've got a D major triad and a different sort of voicing. This is really for like if you're playing with another guitar player, and let's say like they're playing acoustic guitar, and you know, you've got to kind of, they're playing something like a, now I've got options as far as what I can do as a lead guitar player. And it just leaves space between what the rhythm guitar player would be doing and the lead guitar player would be doing. And especially, I think the easiest way to imagine it would be like some sort of worship scenario where you have, you know, a worship leader just strumming basic chords on an acoustic guitar, and you're sitting here trying to figure out, well, what am I supposed to do? I can't just go. But what you can do is maybe something like, just a quick example of how you can utilize these. Multiple different ways you can play triads. I would recommend taking the major scale, in this case D, and really working on where can I play these different sorts of triads at. There's multiple different places you can do it, and it's really fun to kind of create exercises like this for you that sound a bit more musical than just saying, oh, I'm practicing D major. Last thing I want to talk about, creating arpeggios out of these triad shapes. So if we took that D major arpeggio, or that D major triad that we played in like that C shape, if we look at that last note we hit, it's really hitting that fifth on that D shape arpeggio. And really all we're doing here is I'm taking those same three notes and I'm finding them in different octaves to play. And all I'm playing is those notes for D major. So I have D, F sharp, A, D, F sharp, A. If I wanted to start taking that around and doing it with the scale shapes, once again, this is my home bass. And all I'm doing for that E minor at that point is root, flat third, fifth, root, flat third, fifth. Same thing if I wanted to move around to that, maybe that F, G, point is you can take all of these things and apply them to a multitude of different things. I know this is quite a lot of information to get thrown at you all at once. I do have downloadable PDF down in the description. You'll be able to check out all of this. I have it tabbed out and kind of help you give a visual understanding to what you're doing as well with the D major scale. But biggest thing, focus on the notes that you're playing and the intervals between the notes, and only focus on one key. If D major is not your thing, focus on C. There's 12 other notes that you can, or 11 other notes that you can choose from just besides D. So work on the major scale intervals, the notes that you're playing, and we will see all of you guys on the next video.